So Nikki, you're getting ready to go. Does this feel at all normal, or are we just way beyond normal?
Great question. It's, we're trying to keep it normal, but it's way beyond normal. Our focus has been, safety first. Now we're traveling and we're getting on a flight, and, we are, our medical team and staff, we really have to first think safety now that we're flying hotels, bus. So that's been different. But at the end of the day, we are so thankful to play, and we're so thankful that we're going to have some competition.
Nick Farrell, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. I hope you're doing well.
Hi,
so
Nick.
I want to know about Lauren Segala, her ACL injury. Is she back to full speed? How did her recovery process go? And then as a follow-up to that, you mentioned that when you watched pro soccer restart, that there were a lot of injuries, particularly in the Bundesliga. Do you still have maybe a fear that that could be the case for your players this season?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I am really excited for Lauren Segala. I really feel confident that she has done everything she could do to come back and come back with a totally different mindset. I mean, she has this drive about her right now that there's no setbacks. And so she's ready, 100% ready. The injury thing, as a staff, we have continued to be mindful of that and continued to do everything we could in our power to facilitate game movements, making sure that, they've really been doing some things from a recovery standpoint, but also from just game movements. We've had 2 scrimmages, so I think, full field. So that's been really helpful, but it's different, but I think the weeks that we've had, these extra weeks, are really helping.
Justin, go ahead.
He's on mute.
You got me?
Now you're there.
Okay,
Hey,
great. Hey, Coach,
how you
thanks
doing?
good. I'm doing well. Thanks for taking this time with us today. A question here on, obviously just jumping straight into conference schedule. It's obviously unprecedented maybe, and obviously you've got a young team here. So just kind of talk about, from your standpoint, what this situation is going to be like and how unique it can be.
Well, I think you guys know me for over the years. I've had the toughest non-conference schedule, and I'd fight for in the country, right? So we didn't have that. So what we did, because when you talk about moving right into conference play, I always wanted to kind of divide our seasons up. So I was unable to do that. But what we really did, and what we really tried to have the players buy into, was every training session was like a game. Every training session, we were recording film and cutting film from practice. So those movements and those opportunities had to be taken, like we were playing Virginia or Penn State, or put ourselves in positions like we've always done in the past. So we tried to facilitate that. As we all know, we don't know where we're at until we see another opponent, but at least the players responded, and they wanted that competitive environment, and maybe a little bit more mindful of how important training is in those scrimmages.
Hi, Carly, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good, Carly, how you doing?
Good. Just wondering, for the past 4 years, you've had Riley as a consistent girl in net, and now for the first time in a while, you have to roll out someone new. How's that position looking for you? Maybe a battle there. And also, what's the plan in being able to play in the spring? Are there rules that you have to follow for the fall in order to be eligible to play in the spring? Just wondering about that.
Yeah, so obviously big shoes to fill in Riley Foster. It's been neck and neck right now. The keepers are really doing a good job battling for that start. We had that transfer in from Boston College, Maddie Murphy, who's done a really good job plugging in. And of course, you guys got a little taste of Keza last year, and then Jess coming in as a true freshman. So, all three have really elevated each other's games and each other's performances in net. So it's going to be tight up until game time with that decision. Now, when it comes to rules, I kind of giggle, and I want everyone to giggle with me. It's been the wild, wild west, right? So with COVID, anything goes. And I don't mean that with any harsh intent. It's just, I've never been part of a preseason an August, a June, a July, where every conference was coming in with different rules. So I think when we pull into the spring, I know the NCAA has stated that they do want a championship season. They want to give us an NCAA tournament. However, it would probably be less teams than a 64, so, that's kind of all I know. And then, of course, training days and things like that. But I just, it's been hard on the NCAA and what they have to juggle. But it's, right now we're in a dead period. I've never been in a dead period before in recruiting. So it's a lot of day-to-day stuff. And for me to predict what will happen this spring, it will be very interesting. But I hope it goes back to normal. But to say that there's going to be certain rules and stuff, I don't even think anybody knows.
Okay, Greg, back to you.
Greg, you got to mute.
Still muted, Greg.
You hit unmute for me, I thought. So anyways, safety protocols for travel. Do you travel with fewer than normal or normal? And then what's game day look like? I mean, what's your sideline look like in terms of spread and masks and all those type of things? It's
been really interesting to think about something you've never experienced before. And hey, that's my strength. I'm an old lady. I got all these years in, but not COVID years. So with that being said, when we travel, safety first. So we're traveling with face shields. We're traveling, of course, with masks. That's a number one concern. Then when you kind of move into game scenario, now all of us are being tested. Tonight, we're all being tested at 7:00. 4 of the referees are being tested. So all teams will be tested before kickoff. All bench personnel has to wear masks, but fists, we're not probably handshaking, but no masks when we play, and it'll be somewhat of a normal scenario, except personnel's on the sidelines.
Matt, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Thank you for your time. We went with Lauren Segala, Grace Smith, and Jordan Brewster as the captains this year. Talk a little bit about what those girls will bring to that role and what they mean to you.
Yeah, I said this, the passion and enthusiasm that they're going to bring, to bring this team to excellence is going to be exciting to watch. I'm very excited to see because I do think all three are different leaders, and I do think all three take this responsibility as a privilege and as an honor, and want to bring out the best in this team, and we'll do whatever it takes. So it's going to be a fun ride for me, and to be alongside of them, but also to make sure we have the best leadership possible.
Next question from Joe Mercado. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, Coach. How are you?
Good, Joe. How you doing?
Good.
Good seeing you.
With the way that the schedule is now laid out in the Big 12 for you, and you've got a match every Friday, you're home 1 week, away the next, does it allow you to get in some type of rhythm, some type of routine, the way everything's set up?
Yeah, I mean, I as we all know, every day it's been very fluid, and it was, I've never had a schedule come out so late in a year. So I think knowing that from my standpoint as a professional, that, with our periodization and with our planning, we know Friday to Friday, right? So we know that calendar, where, 2 weeks ago, I didn't know that. So it's been really good for what I do as a professional to have a really good understanding of game day and what practices need to look like. So it's exciting. Then, of course, like you said, to know how to perform on the road compared to being home. So it's nice. As we all know, routine is great. Schedules are great because it puts us in a position to be prepared.
Okay, Justin, back to you.
Hey, Coach, I was just kind of wondering, going back to what you were saying about this team being young, and obviously there's, like you've hinted at, there's so many unknowns as far as, NCAA tournament, spring play, even a Big 12 tournament. With all of that said, you've got a young team. Has it been a challenge at all to go through this process with them? Say, hey, these games still mean something. There might be, light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, still to play for. What's that challenge been like with, a younger group of kids?
Yeah, it has been very challenging because, they haven't even understood how this all works just in a normal year. So now you throw in a COVID year and you go, okay, wait a minute. They just told me we have a schedule, but it doesn't count. But wait, now it does count. Or wait, now we might have an NC, so we're just going in day to day. It's a gift. We're going to be driven. We're going to compete. We're going to go hard. We're going to get better. And every opportunity we have to win, we're going to go after it. And then whatever happens beyond our control happens beyond our control. Is that very complicated with a younger team? Yes, because they don't know. They've never played Big 12. They've never played now every Friday. So there is a lot of, question marks, but there's also a lot of enthusiasm too. And it's a lot of excitement. So, I think obviously would rather have a more experienced team in this situation, but I'm really proud of the way we've stepped up as a group and have recognized the things we can control and the things we can't.
Next question from Kevin Kinder. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, Coach, with this being kind of a benchmark for you, your 25th year here, I was looking through the list of NCAA coaches, and there are just a ton really long tenured women's soccer coaches. Why is that? What is it about this sport that either attracts or develops or whatever people that are head coaches for a very long time?
Well, I do think this, and, this is my take on it. I was hired very, very young, we're talking kindergarten, right? So Title IX hit, and a lot of us young coaches got an opportunity that maybe coaches wouldn't get now. So you're going to find when Title IX hit, back in 95 on up, they didn't have people to fill those roles. So a lot of us started so young, and we're able to kind of build, ourselves in our profession where, now I'm probably, more of the normal age, probably a little older, but I think, that's probably contributed a lot to this because our sport hit that Title IX, and, 25 years ago, there wasn't women's soccer like, there is today. So I think that probably lays into a lot of why you're seeing the tenure that a lot of us have, because a lot of these coaches I've started with that you're probably talking about.
Okay, 3 more questions in the queue here. We'll start with Greg Hunter. Go ahead, Greg.
All right, I got the unmute correct this time. Coach, the Big 12 announced thresholds for football, how many players you have to be able to have to be able to play, even some minimums at positions. So is there something similar that they've announced for soccer? You got to have at least 13 healthy players, 1 goalie. Have they told you anything, or is it just up to you guys?
Well, to be honest with you, on Monday, so it's, and we all know this, we needed football to go. right? So we needed football to go, and we want football to go. And now everybody else is getting that information. We're doing it as so on Monday, we were talking about that, and we're trying to get to the nitty gritty of it. So, we were writing that up on Monday with the Big 12 and the coaches call. So we do have that. We have talked about, like you said, goalkeepers, they're a little different than field players. So I think what we came up with, and I could be wrong because I had to write it down because so much changes, but I do think it's 14 players and a goalkeeper. So I think that was our number, but I could be wrong, and I don't have it in front of me, Greg, so I apologize. But it looks something like that, with the goalkeeper being separate from that.
Go ahead, Carly.
Coach, just two more things. Jade, obviously a big facilitator on offense last year. Who do you expect to step up and score goals for you guys? And do you know why the Big 12 picked Friday as the day that you would be playing each week?
I'm going to hit Friday first. It was healthy Fridays because of keeping away from the football schedule and some hotels and things of that nature. And then I think it had to do with ESPN Plus, and then of course testing. But I think testing really drove that. And obviously some football weekends on Saturday. So that kind of made sense. Now with Jade, we have Julianne Valorant, who, she was our leading goal scorer up until her injury. So with her return, we're really excited about that. We've talked about Lauren Segala, and then you have Enzi Bouchard, who is now a sophomore. So we had, between Jubes, I call her Jubes, and Enzi, both rookies out there, and Andelina. You can't mislead our leading goal scorer, Lena Stahl.
All right, Matt, go ahead and finish this up.
Coach, by the time conference play started last year, you had played 12 freshmen and started 6 of them. Do you see it being a challenge, or do you foresee challenges bringing in younger players straight into conference play this year?
Yeah, it definitely. Listen, I'd want 12 more weeks of training if you'd give it to me. So, remember, I'm always Lou Holtz. We're never ready, and we always have obstacles, right? But it's challenging because as much as these kids have great experience, they have not played in a conference like this or against women that have been lifting, getting stronger, speed of play. So it is challenging, but I also feel that every day they have a tryout at practice, and we get to see how they would perform. We don't necessarily have a lot of seniors this year, so that's what we're lacking to kind of put them up against. But, it is, you're going to question, and I'm questioning that going in, like, how is she going to do in a real game against a real opponent? But at the end of the day, I just got to use my best judgment moving forward.